Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, everybody. My name is Mrs. Denise Parker. I am the Director of Internships and Careers for National College Resources Foundation. I want to thank you for joining us for today's Elevate Your Game. This is a series that is enhancing young people's lives by expanding their career opportunities, meeting industry experts, recruiters, sharing what they can do not only in their personal careers, but also their finances, their health and wellness, their entrepreneurialism, you name it. We are doing it here at National College Resources Foundation. And if you know us, you know our brand. We're all about education and excellence. And thank you for joining us in today's special. We're going to do something a little different. We're going to talk about careers that are outside the box in our thinking, in our pathway, in our pipeline. And I'm super excited to introduce our guest. But before we get started, I want to make some announcements. Yay for announcements. Give me a second. Okay, I'm starting in the wrong area. Sorry about that. Okay, going back to slide 1. Apologize. So in our special announcements today, we are focusing on careers and all the things fun in careers, and it's still Women's History Month. And I just want to make sure that we acknowledge that we're still traveling in this beautiful month of March. Black College Expo Atlanta is coming up. NCRF is hosting a free Black College Expo at Bowie State University, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's in person at Bowie in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Oh man, I can't wait to go to the East Coast. Hopefully it's not too cold. You're going to meet recruiters, attend seminars such as how to find money for college, the 411 and student athletes, why attend an HBCU, booming careers, how to start a business. Those are some of our signature seminars that are going to be there. And we look forward to helping our young people develop relationships with HBCUs and other institutions. Please join us, and we're super excited. We have helped thousands of students up to this point. We only have 2 more Black College Expos, DMV and Charlotte, Chicago is our last expos of the year. Yes, Women's History Month. We are focusing on acknowledging women such as this beautiful Dr. Kiesminska Corbett. And she's one of the leading scientists during the development of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine in 2020. She has over 15 years of experience studying influenza and coronaviruses. A viral immunologist by training, Dr. Corbett uses her expertise to propel novel vaccine development for pandemic preparedness. So you can find her in all the different news releases. She was one of the key scientists and doctors who was helping to fight the COVID issues, which we're still fighting to this day. Our HBCU fun fact: there are HBCUs, community colleges, those that offer associate degrees and certificate programs. For today's subject, we're going to be talking about having outside opportunities from a 4-year perspective, but more from a 2-year or less than 2-year perspective of going after your career. For those students who desire an HBCU experience, but are not interested in pursuing a bachelor's degree full-time, being at a 4-year university, those who need a more affordable academic option, or those who need to develop stronger academic skills before transferring into a 4-year college. These are some of the colleges that focus on that. Bishop State Community College, University of District of Columbia Community College, Denmark Technical College in Denmark, South Carolina. Let's make that clear. Southwestern Christian College in Terrell, Texas. Home State Community College in Montgomery, Alabama. These are wonderful institutions that have great opportunities for those who are looking to have that HBCU experience, receive some skills, and get that associate's degree that leads to a bachelor's degree. Warner Brothers Discovery summer internships programs. Their deadline is closing fast tomorrow, tomorrow. That QR code, scan it, scan it, scan it. Enroll in, if you're enrolled in a degree program, which is for rising juniors and seniors in college, and you're in a 4-year university for rising juniors and seniors 18 and over with a minimum of 2.8 GPA, Warner Brothers has awesome opportunities all over this country. It's various locations. You can work with Warner Brothers directly with some of their brands such as CNN, HBO, DC Comics, Bleacher Report. That's just to name a few, but you have to scan the QR code. You have to apply to Warner Brothers Discovery directly. The deadline is closing soon. If you do apply, you can definitely email me or reach out to us and tell us that you applied so that we can alert the recruiters. And then SoCal Gas has a scholarship program. It's due March 15th. It's a 4-year university opportunity for those who are going to graduate from high school and attend a university, or community college students who are going to transfer into a 4-year university. There's a scholarship opportunity. These are the majors that they're looking for to apply for the scholarship. STEM majors in STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, math, but in addition to finance and accounting. The only part of STEM that's not eligible to apply are medical majors, anything in the medical profession. Okay, if you have any questions, you can email bviramontes@socalgas.com for more questions to be answered. If you like working with people who have some developmental disabilities such as autism, and you want to work with young people ages 0 to 3, this program through the new through CORE, CORE, has a workforce development grant, and out of that they're creating some wonderful fellowship opportunities where you can actually apply to participate in. You have to have a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. And if you have any questions, this is the phone number to contact somebody, 323-291-7100, or visit their website at snnla.org. This is definitely an opportunity for recently college graduates. Scan that QR code to apply. And of course, our beautiful company, NCRF, is hiring right here in San Diego, California. We are in 100 plus schools throughout Los Angeles and down to San Diego, which is, all of Southern California pretty much. And I guess what I want to tell you, we have some working experience for those who can mentor, be a social emotional support, English, strong English skills, math tutoring skills, or even science skills. You must live in the San Diego territory. College students are super, this is a great opportunity if you're definitely interested in getting into teaching or psychology or social work or becoming a student activist or an educational activist. This is a great opportunity. We're working with the court schools in the San Diego area. So those students who are going through many different challenges and staying out of prison, we are working with those students to actually graduate them so they can be on a successful track, getting them into a 2-year or 4-year university. And you will email Ms. Tissell at ncrfoundation.org for any questions, and be prepared to do a background check. You can scan that QR code to apply. Of course, we support our local partners, which are also part of our national partners, which is Rock Nation, the School of Music, Sports, and Entertainment. They have a summer academy that is coming up, and you might want to scan that QR code to apply because it's definitely great for high school students ages 14 and through 18. You will be attending school at a summer academy at the Long Island University in Brooklyn. And this is a super exciting opportunity because it's an elite cohort, and you will study world-renowned artists, athletes, and industry leaders led by legendary music producer and school director, Young Guru. He was on our segment last week. He talked about his program at the Long Island University, and it is amazing. And the Summer Academy is super, just a wonderful place for you guys to learn more about music, sports, and the business side of entertainment. They also have a scholarship, a Hope Scholarship, that is closing soon. And you definitely want to apply for this too if you're looking to apply to the Long Island University and you already got accepted, or you're looking to get accepted and you need to have additional finances. You definitely want to apply for this Hope Scholarship. It is on a needs base. You'll definitely have to have a 3.2 GPA and be able to show that you have enhanced. You can write a personal statement about your personal mentorships, enhanced and enriched activities, community engagement, career and internship connections are what you're going to receive in this opportunity too. So there's tons of things that you guys can to look for when applying for schools. The hardest thing is finding the money. So Hope Scholarship, it gives you a full ride to this opportunity, and I definitely want you guys to apply. Now, let's get on to our show. Welcome to Elevate Your Game. I'm super excited. This is one of those shows where we're going to talk about some things that you never even heard of. And one of those things is applying for skilled trade jobs. Not just careers, but jobs that can lead to a bigger career. And before I get deep into the weeds, I want to introduce you to our special guests. I'm going to bring them on in a minute, and they are from all walks of life. We have two that are on right now, and I was hoping our last one would join us, but we'll see if she can. We have Mr. TJ Lofton. He is a real estate professional. Are you ready, TJ? Good. Adding you to the stream. Say hello to our audience.
Greetings, everyone.
Excellent. And I'm going to add our other industry expert, a healthcare professional, and she is a nurse practitioner, Dr. Patrice Little.
Hello.
Well, welcome, everybody. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got there and what's going on with you?
So, yes, I'll start off. I am a family nurse practitioner by training. And now I get to run a platform called NP Student that I founded in 2018, where I provide education, guidance, and community to aspiring nurse practitioners. And so basically how that translates is we offer assistance with exploring nurse practitioner careers. And when you're ready, help with applying to school and be able to have support while you advance through the program. And we're right there to hold your hand as you enter the workforce.
Well, that's excellent. That's just a little introduction to who Dr. Patrice Little is, but let's meet Mr. TJ Lofton. Go right ahead.
Hi, I'm a real estate developer. I started off young, learning how to build a shopping center. Watched some of my friends develop a shopping center, put some businesses inside of the shopping center, all the way down to hiring the employees. So I was able to watch that from 9 to 12 years old. So now currently I'm the owner of KLC Development, where I build homes. And I do a lot of public speaking and advising and consulting.
Well, this is super exciting. So we're talking not just about how to build your career, but specifically careers that have skilled trades. Can we define what a skilled trade is? Anybody want to start?
A skilled trade is basically a trade. It can be like welding, it could be fabricating, it could be sandblasting, it could be construction, drywalling, building an HVAC system, laying tile, cutting quartz countertops, etc.
Excellent. And how does that work in regards to just in general? Like most people, when they think about going to college or school, they focus on, going after a degree. and a degree like in business or a degree in real estate, the business side of real estate, but they don't actually know what they want to do specifically in those areas. I find that skilled trades, they give you a more defined definition of how you're going to go about your career. Is that true for you guys when you're thinking about a skilled trade, especially in real estate or in healthcare? How does that go about?
Yes, that's exactly how I think about it. When the cool thing about skill trades is you get to start work within a shorter amount of time, and basically your that work involves using your hands. So in healthcare, it's more so providing the direct care services. There are some skill trades where you do indirect care services, but mainly it's anything to do with the hands-on experience, practical experience. So you get to jumpstart your career right away.
So, how can you define in healthcare some of those skilled trades? What does that look like?
So, some examples of skilled trades in healthcare will include a licensed practical nurse or a licensed vocational nurse, also known as LPN, LVN, depending on the region that you're in. Usually, the LPN, LVN, they provide basic level care, nursing care, which involves administering some medications under the direction of a registered nurse. Another skilled trade
Oh,
Another skill trade would include a phlebotomist. And so, a phlebotomist is basically someone who draws your blood. And so, they're skilled in doing venipuncture, point of testing. So, for those who have gone, especially children who've gone to the pediatrician and they prick your finger because they want to see how much iron is in your blood, that would be something that a phlebotomist would do. And then also a medical assistant that's cross trained. So mainly those when you serve in those roles, most of the time they are providing assistance to a more advanced or more developed a medical role or healthcare provider role. And those are just a couple examples.
examples that are amazing, because most people don't understand that when it comes to um, building those skills in healthcare, going after those medical degrees, going after the healthcare degrees, they can take a long time. Somebody could be in school for for up to 8 years if they're
Yes.
going to go all the way to get their doctorate and then do an internship and a residence. It can be very tedious and very costly. What do you find important about trades and how they can enhance your career path and even your education? For me, I think I did the same thing. I went to college. I went to a university, Cal State Long Beach, and I ended up injuring my knees in dance, and I found myself going to rehab therapy. And in that rehab therapy, they put me in on equipment that's known as Pilates equipment. And when I laid on the Pilates equipment, I really fell in love with it, and I wanted to learn more. And then I've discovered in that process of just training and rehabbing myself that it was a trade. And I didn't know it was a trade at that time, but hindsight 2020, looking back, it was a trade. And when I got certified while in college, I actually graduated with an actual career, not just bumping my head trying to figure it out. And I still do it to this day. So how would you use as that example, how would you say that trades are important to have, like while you're in school? Anybody want to answer that?
I think for me, having a trade, like for example, in high school, I had wood shop and I had auto mechanic shop. So literally, I would learn things, and that day it would pathway me into entrepreneurship because I would go home and tell my neighbors, "Hey, I can change your oil. For $25, you go buy the oil." That made me an entrepreneur instantly because I just learned how to change oil. Wood shop, I learned how to work with wood, learned all the tools, the saws. Now I can repair that back gate. So hey, I can charge you this much money. Hey, I'm only 16 years old. It's not like I can go get a job, but I can charge you some money. So I was an entrepreneur before I even tried to look for a job, if that makes sense. So entrepreneurship stuck because I made more money. So I think that having a trade is instant pathway to entrepreneurship, and that's what I like.
I like that. Having a trade is an instant pathway to entrepreneurship. And That's the key thing. We do encourage our young people to not just get some skills while they're in school, but to develop them into becoming an entrepreneur and starting your own businesses while you're in school. That's the key thing. How do you guys find that, the trades and are changing nowadays in this current, career climate? People are losing jobs by the buckets, like people are hiring, then they're firing, or they're doing hiring freezes. But I can tell you one thing, my plumber is still working. He's working around the clock. What? Go ahead, TJ.
What did we call them? We were essential workers. We never stayed home. Everybody else was at home. We kept on going double time, building and fixing and all of that. We never came. It was always we were essential. So that said a lot to a lot of people, and they made a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those essential workers who you were thinking on the front lines, who were in the midst of COVID, were having to put themselves in actually health in harm's way just so that they can deliver just goods, services, and actually provide, those special needs that we needed just to continue our day-to-day living. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here today. And out of that became all this booming, re-emerging industry, people leading these trades, leading them. And now they can charge whatever they're charging nowadays. How can one really get started in trades? Like, how do you discover what you're good at? Like, how?
First, I would like to preface with trades for those who are tuning in to understand that every role that you work in is very essential. Oftentimes, people associate the title of the role with its significance. So every role is significant. So I say that before I segue into healthcare and start in the roles in healthcare. So I like to use that acronym VTC when it comes to getting into a trade in healthcare.
What's a
Oftentimes,
VTC? What's a VTC?
VTC stands for volunteering, tutoring, or educating. It could be VEC, and then eventually contracting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I say that because oftentimes, especially for high school students, you see something and you want to do it. So the
mm-hmm,
next thing is you identify the role that you want to function in. So it's important to open your mouth and ask an individual that you see doing something and ask them if you can watch them. And eventually that volunteer opportunity or observation opportunity can turn into a job opportunity. And so from that job opportunity, you'll develop and hone your skills. Then you can one day educate or tutor someone who's interested in doing the same thing, and then eventually position yourself to contract and have a business. So that's how I feel it is with trades. And the example I like to use is when I was an undergrad, I tutored biology while I was working on my biology degree. So I tutored it for 4 years, and that eventually turned into a teaching opportunity where I was able to teach high school science way before I became a nurse. So even though it's oftentimes people think that they have to go and get a lot of education. They can actually just start where they are. And sometimes where you're introduced to the trades, to answer your question, is at most of the time your lowest point. Your lowest point doesn't have to be your saddest point, but your lowest point could just be at the beginning of you starting your career.
I love how you defined all that, because you even went deeper into really understanding for those people who get kind of confused with CTE, career technical education, vocational trades or vocational training, and then skilled trades, like what all that means. But starting with what you already know how to do. Like we're hiring right now at NCRF for um, people who are just graduated out of high school to work with other fellow high school students who have strong social emotional skills, strong math and science and English skills. If you have strong skills, you can actually come and be a tutor. And And you don't have to have a elaborate degree, elaborate training, but as long as you can connect with young people, you can teach them the basics, then we can probably get you in the door to start building your career in teaching, in psychology and social work. So those are all the key things that you're going to be building in a skilled trade. You're learning as you grow, basically. For me, I see it as learning as you grow. I didn't know much about physical therapy work, but I'm telling you, you just learn. You learn as you're being taught the example, and the example is working in the business, not sitting there reading about it, but actually hands on working in the business. I remember when we first got certified in our with our credentials, it took me 2080 worked hours to get certified. So by the time I was certified in my physical training of Pilates instruction and teaching, I had worked 2,080 hours in a skill to graduate with a certificate. That's a lot of hours. That was 2 years of my life while I was in college. So thinking about it, like even in real estate, even in what you do, TJ, how does that translate like with what you've done throughout your whole life? Like, was it applied learning or did you step back and just watch people do it?
For me, it was a little different because I had a coach. I had multiple coaches all throughout my life, and it was kind of interesting because I learned from the masters of the trade. So I remember when I would talk to people, and they would try to compare me to education, they'd be like, "That's an Ivy League education. Stuff he's talking about, like he had to have gone to an Ivy League school." And it's like, no, it's about who I learned from. Like I sat at the feet of Dr. Stavey. I sat at the feet of Gary May. I sat at the feet of some amazing coaches. So my education level was a lot further ahead than most people. So when people find out my background, then they like, oh well, we need you over here. We thought we wanted you for this, but now that we know who you came from, we want to put you over here in a more of a leadership role, or we know you know about that. So it works the same way with me. When I teach my students real estate, you can't compare them to, oh, I took a class over with such and such. Well, he's a builder. He contracted stuff out. But TJ learned from the master, so I know a lot more than they do. So your education is going to be different. So your demand is going to be different because the information is quite different. If that makes sense. It's like
I,
coming in.
oh no, I love it. I love it. Mentorships are the key thing to actually understanding the best part of the trade because you'll learn from the people who've done it the best. You don't want to learn from somebody who hasn't have a lot of followers or business. If they have a lot of business, they're constantly busy. You probably want to definitely learn from them. You probably want to, how did you learn to become a master car builder? Like
So
define what a master car builder is, because that's definitely in the mechanical engineering space.
I want to talk about what you just said. You
Mhm.
want to hear from someone with a lot of followers, you said, right?
Yeah.
It's just the opposite.
Mm.
Because, like Dr. Sabi, for example, he didn't have a Facebook page. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have any followers on social media. But yet he's the greatest. Like a lot of my coaches don't have social media. So the people who have the social media are people who they target people for the classes, but the real developers are not even really teaching, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Who have a
Mhm.
social media. If I looked at one of my friends' page, he had 1,500 people on his page. But if you know who he was, he should have had more like 800 million, because of the things he's accomplished. But nobody knows who these guys are. So that's why I say the people who really doing the work, they don't really have a following. But the people who are teaching the classes, oh, they got huge followings because they've mastered social media.
Mhm. That,
But
that that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you clarified that because we're in the day and age where there's likes and dislikes and tons of YouTube followers and all that good stuff. And we really need to be careful who we listen and take advice from, especially when it comes to building your career wealth and having longevity in a career, because somebody can be giving you the misinformation.
I had
But go ahead. Mhm.
I had someone tell me before, teacher, I didn't know you knew all this stuff. He said, I looked at your YouTube page, you had like 12 followers, so I just kept on scrolling. So here I am 6 months later, and I found out you did all of this. I would. You should get your social media up. I'm looking at them like, really? Like, okay. But you asked about the coach, having a coach, or what did you ask?
I wanted to know more too about like how did you get started becoming a master car builder, and how do you define what a master car builder is? Because
Okay,
people don't understand the manufacturing of cars and how they are produced. And
so
coming from the tech world, now cars have changed for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And how did you get started?
so again, I learned from some rocket scientists of classic cars. Of new car building, of going to the auction and hanging out in the junkyards. I learned from seasoned car builders that were master car builders. Meaning, if someone says, "Oh, he's just a glorified mechanic," okay, a mechanic is someone who's going to change your oil, change your transmission fluid, put an alternator, starter, or something, maybe swap your engine. Well, I'm doing more than that. I can come in and take your Chevy Tahoe and convert it into a Cadillac Escalade, and you wouldn't know the difference. I can not only work on a '57 Chevy Bel Air, I can work on your 2023 Bugatti. So, like for example, if Rick Ross or Jay Z said, "Hey, I need a mechanic that can work on my fleet," he's not looking for a guy who could just work on his Toyota Camry. He needs someone to maintain everything in the garage of his 200 cars. And that would be a master car builder, not somebody, oh, he just works. Like most people say, oh, I specialize with Mercedes or I specialize with Jaguar. Well, I know how to work on all of those cars and not just work on them. I could take them apart. And you say, I want my doors to go up like that. You say, I want my doors to reverse. You say, I want that engine out of my brand new Cadillac. I want that engine inside of my '57 Chevy. That's
How did you get started doing that? Like, were you a kid tinkering, or it was something you always liked to do? Because we have young people who call us all the time who want to go into becoming a mechanic or some type of mechanical engineer, and they like to tinker. So how did you get started with that?
I learned from a lot. Again, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I mean, I learned from some master car thieves. I learned from some master car builders. Who else? I mean, you got people who could fill a car in 30 seconds with a screwdriver. Come on now. You really have to have a clear understanding of a car to be able to do that. So I learned from a lot of amazing people from all over the place. You got people who specialize in uh, cars, who just all they do is pull engines out. And the biggest thing was the exchange. Like, what's the exchange? What can we use? Like, what is this car compatible to? Like, okay, people don't realize the Chevy pickup, the Chevy truck Escalade. I'm sorry, the Chevy Tahoe is the same as the Escalade, and all these parts interchange.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I learned that from people on the street, car builders who trial and error. Like, oh, and also going to the junkyard. I would go to these guys would take me to the junkyard and we go there and practice. Literally, and I created the DVD called the $2 Education, $2 Junkyard Education, where it costs you $2 to get into the junkyard, and you go in there, you got three cars sitting there, one fully complete car, one halfway stripped down car, and one stripped down to the bone. So now I'm sitting there looking like, oh, this is the motor to the moonroof, or this is the motor to the windshield wipers. And, okay, I'm trying to take it out, and then I broke it. Oh, I just go to the next car and start over again. So
That's amazing. That
yeah,
is amazing. How is it that we can miss opportunities? Because you're talking about opportunities that are just right in front of you,
yeah,
and you're learning and then mastering a trade while you're just learning on the fly. And that's the key thing. I mean, most people don't even realize how the hip hop industry really started. It's because people were just playing around with records, playing around with ideas, mixing and scratching their records, and all of a sudden it became a trade. They became DJs, and then all of a sudden they became now musical engineers, and then now they're musical engineers. Now they're doing big productions. It all leads to one thing. I mean, even the video gaming industry, think about it. You like playing video games. Now you can go to school and major in gaming And why is that? Because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
One thing that concerns me that I always tell people, we have people like myself that don't have any type of degree, but yet I'm a master car builder. I'm a master real estate person. And you will have people look at me like, he don't have a degree. I don't want him working on my car or my house.
Mhm.
Like, we have to understand that some people have it natural. We got to be able to look at people and identify people who has that skill set. So I have people who come to me with their degrees. No offense, I'm college educated people, but I'm more about hands on. Show me what you can do. I come from the show me.
Mhm.
Okay, you got the paper, but show me that you actually can do this. So I
Right.
would really say, okay, go over there and work on that, take that dent out that car, or go over there and take that frame off, or go over there and frame that door for me. Let me see you hang that door, and I can watch him in 2 seconds to determine he don't know what he's doing. Or wow, he's good. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Right.
we have to be able to identify raw talent.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what skilled trades men are and women are. They have this raw talent about them, and then they mastered it, and whenever, as they're growing in their field and getting more experience, or mastering it. Is that the same thing in healthcare? I mean, somebody who has a degree in whatever various healthcare medical field, all of a sudden they're asked to perform. You've seen the doctor shows, and the interns are messing up all the time. The residents are messing up all the time. How is it in the medical field, in the healthcare field?
His daddy was a doctor, so they pushed him through. I mean, his
Oh,
his daddy invested in building, so they pushed him through, right?
I agree with what TJ mentioned. I believe there is an innate component to many of the things that we do. I often tell my students that you're tapping into your genius, which you were genetically, before you were even born, predestined to do. But
mhm,
oftentimes, because of how our society is built, we we're forced, in a sense,
mhm,
to pursue a particular career path that may not be in alignment with really who we are. So, in a sense, I do feel that there are people who are naturally gifted, have gifted hands that can heal, have a healing component. May not necessarily be with their hands, but may be with their spirit and how they speak, and they can be very therapeutic. But oftentimes people do go into healthcare professions because of the economics part of the salary that is attached to it, and not fully the care. For those who go in because they truly care, you are able instantaneously to able to recognize that they are in the right field and that they are meant to do it. And so oftentimes it's best to, I like to use the word curiosity, because it sounds like TJ had curiosity when he was looking through the cars. I had curiosity when I would want to care for my sister or my son, I'm the oldest of four. And that curiosity, and it's sometimes that instinct to think fast and be able to care fast, to react quickly, to save a life. And so with that, I feel that is connected to individuals. That component is, it does stand out, but it's best honed in or fashioned when people tend to enter the workforce, or use that, develop that particular trade or pursue particular trade. And I'll just use an example. I was looking at the numbers this week with the CPR instructor training,
mhm,
and I
mhm,
thought that
mhm,
was very unique. And it made me really think about, okay, the average salary for a registered nurse who goes to school to get a 4-year degree. There are registered nurses with 2-year degree, but we'll just focus on the numbers. With 4-year degree, they'll make an average between 35 to $55 per hour, depending on what region that they're in. And then I think about someone who does not have a degree, who still wants to care for people, but they want to instruct as well. They become a CPR instructor. They invest between $275 to $450 for that training. They become certified, They start having CPR classes. Well, the average CPR class lasts between 2 and 3 hours. And sometimes you can have as little as 10, but we'll go with a little as 5, but as much as like 10 and 20, but we'll stick with 10 for the sake of numbers, make it easy to calculate. And you can charge each person $80. Okay, so 80 times 10, that's $800 that you make in a minimum of 2 hours,
Mm,
and you do not have a
that's
degree.
amazing. That's
But
amazing.
that individual had an affinity for teaching and had an affinity because they want to care and save lives. So yes, to answer your question, I do feel like that with the trades that some of it can is connected to being innate. When someone is just passionate and they have a curiosity and interest in doing something, it eventually leads to them having a high money making potential.
Well, this is going to lead to other money making potentials. Um, we have a wonderful special guest that's going to be joining us any second now, and she is here. Are you ready, Coach D? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Yay. Okay, I'm going to introduce you to the stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our conversation on Elevate Your Game, making money in skilled trades. Welcome, Coach D. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yes. So we're talking about what a skilled trade is, and just briefly tell us who you are and what skilled trades are you representing today.
Oh, absolutely. I'm affectionately known as Coach D, uh, and in the industry, and AKA the Tech Queen, that is my alias. And the industries that and the skill trades we represent are all things technology, particularly the in-demand technology occupations, cybersecurity, and help desk support.
So cybersecurity and help desk support. Help desk meaning when I call that number, like I had a technical difficulty right before I came on. My internet was not working, and they sent me to a help desk. And they
Yeah.
were in there navigating on my computer, making sure I had the fastest Wi-Fi streaming. Is that something that you guys are training people to do? Stuff like that?
Absolutely. And the help desk is AKA also known as computer user support specialist. And so when someone has an error or information troubleshooting, they need anything that needs to be resolved with their computer or technology, they would call the help desk. However, we're not only servicing internal clients, we prepare students to go out and service other clients for city, state, and federal government. So it's not
Mm.
just the internal help desk. We are a global help desk that are training students to serve, equip, and actually, it's not just training, they become certified professionals, globally recognized credentials as industry professionals in both computer user support as well as cybersecurity.
So that's such a booming career now because everything is gone like
Mhm.
seriously to the internet. Working during COVID, all
Yeah.
went to internet-based learning and internet-based workforce development. And we found that there was so many different things that were happening in the cybersecurity space because of COVID. Yeah, how is this industry just changing the lives of just the world now? Is it going to go away or we want to go deeper? Like what's happening?
We are here to stay. In fact, when you think about cybersecurity, you're thinking about protecting yourself, your family, and our country. So it's almost like we're creating an army. And instead of enlisting them in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, we're saying, hey, come join this technology army, this technology Air Force, Marines, to now, instead of equipping you with a gun and sending you to Afghanistan or Iran or any of those countries, we're saying from the comfort of your home or office that you can now begin to protect against the attacks of the enemy. And to answer your question, no, cybersecurity is here to stay. In fact, a little fact check, both the White House and Department of Labor released a press release back in June that there are over 700,000 cybersecurity jobs available and will be over the next 5 years. And so we are here to stay. Technology, of course, isn't going anywhere. In fact, if you're on a desktop right now, you might as well say goodbye because over the next couple of years, everything will be in the cloud as well. And with everything being in the cloud, someone has to protect it. someone has to protect it. In fact, we all know that the next, hopefully not an attack on our nation, but has already started, will be cyber as opposed to nuclear. And so
Mhm.
we want to protect the Army and equip them, have enough skilled workers in our country that can now be equipped to combat against the enemy.
So we're talking about elevating your game and making money in skilled trades. And each of you guys represents so many different avenues of what a skilled trade is. We have healthcare, we have real estate and mechanical engineering space within master car building. And then we have technology and cybersecurity and all those things that follow that. I find that our young people who are not taking advantage of these opportunities look like us. And I intentionally had people that are Black talking about these subjects because it's important. We need to take advantage of these opportunities, and more of our historical Black colleges and universities are providing educational training grounds and being able to equip our young people. But if you are not able to go to a HBCU, or if you don't know where to get started, how can one get started? Can you tell us, each of you, how to get started in your trade? Where can they go? Let's start with you. Who wants to go first? Let's see. Okay, go ahead, Tawana.
The last shall be first. And so I would say, to actually get started, unlike in the past, traditional education is not required in this field. So, for example, Nevada Help Desk, who offers certifications in the field, it is more valuable for a student to have a certification in, let's say, Security Plus or Certified Ethical Hacking. It's more valuable to us or any of our clients to have that certification than someone who, unfortunately, love our colleges and universities, but then someone who came out of college, actually back when I did, over 30 something years ago. Those antiquated programs are no longer available. And so certifications, of course, coupled with degree is awesome, but it's more valuable to a company if you have a recent in-demand certification. And nowadays they're only good for 3 years. So that's more valuable, is to get that certification. If you're interested in cybersecurity help desk support, your answer is right here. And we can help you in any of those thank you, that's on the screen: software engineering, front end web development. And you can actually get hired. We graduated a young lady just in January. 2 weeks later, she's already making $80,000, and that's with no degree, and with no really experience. You can come out the door with the certification making more than you did if you had a 4-year degree education, in most cases, especially the in-demand technology. And I am an advocate of education, of course. I'm not dissing that. Hear me. I'm saying the value to a company in 2023 comes with those in-demand certifications, as opposed to someone with a degree from 2-3 decades ago.
And what age bracket do you guys start in training on your training ground?
We actually start at age 16 for the legal age to work with our work-based learning program, but our computer technology training starts with our sister nonprofit named after my brand, starts at age 7. So from 7 to 15, we're equipping the next generation in our coding and technology skills through our sister nonprofit. But of course, the legal age to work, because we are a direct program under the United States Department of Labor, requires that that student be 16. And there is no max age because we can't discriminate. So 16 and up.
That's excellent. 16 and up. So there's no excuse why you can't really hone in. It can be challenging. It's not going to be a cakewalk. When I was getting certified in my Pilates certification, it was hard. It was tedious. It was challenging. But guess what? I can work anywhere, honey, anywhere, and name my price. Period. The sweat was worth it. The sweat equity was worth it. So who's next? Who would like to share next about their opportunity? Go ahead, TJ. Go ahead. What you want to share?
I always tell people in the automotive industry, or at least the construction industry, they can start off by going and take a free class at Home Depot and Lowe's. They have free classes this week it'll be how to lay some granite, or next week it'll be how to lay a tile floor, or how to put together a cabinet, or how to hang a TV on the wall. And the automotive industry, they can start off going to the junkyard and just walk around with a toolbox and tinker, figure some stuff out. But other than that, I have classes that I teach. People come to me and take my learning class, but I don't just teach the trade. I teach them from an entrepreneurial perspective. I want to create business owners so that they can create jobs. But most importantly, I'm looking for people just like my sister here with this emerging industry. I'll teach people how to recognize an opportunity, meaning we missed a lot of opportunities in the classic car industry because we created so much and we didn't know what the words patent, trademark, and copyright was. So all of this brand new technology we were creating, we didn't patent any of it to only later come back and watch others patent it and create wealth. I know people who made $1 billion because they patented a screw. So
Mhm.
especially in cyber technology, it's a lot of opportunities that come in there, and since it's growing and stuff is being created, we got to learn how to start recognizing that this is a great idea. Let me patent this. Let me copyright,
Mhm.
trademark
Mhm.
that idea.
Mhm.
Talking about creating real wealth, then, because if you got 10 million people or 7 billion people on the planet, that hey, I need that.
Yeah, you're thinking outside the box kind of guy, TJ. That's why I always have you on. And of course, Dr. Little, you're also a think outside the box woman, and that's a good way because we're a different type of people. Every time I teach my seminars in our 15 cities across the nation, I say we're a different type of people. We need to think outside the box in how we go about our education, how we go about our career opportunities, and how we go about mastering it so that we can actually come back and teach these wealthy things. These are wealthy opportunities. So becoming an entrepreneur is part of that conversation with you, TJ. It's not just having a conversation about building real estate portfolios and developing your land and manufacturing within construction. Is actually becoming an entrepreneur, which each and every one of you guys contribute to that conversation, because if you have these skills underneath your belt, you can open up your own small businesses or be contracted as a consultant to work for larger firms. So these are really, really key things that we need to actually keep on emphasizing when we're talking about these. Anything else you want to add about your course?
Yeah, I just wanted to also add, make sure when we do go to school or we do get these jobs, we got to look at those contracts and make sure it doesn't say anything about our intellectual property is theirs. But
Mm,
we're literally starting jobs and we're signing away our IP, our intellectual property, just by starting that job. We got to start making sure that we scratch that out. And say I don't agree with this, because if I came up with an idea, I'm keeping it. So that's important. But other than that, looking at my classes, I help a lot of people do a lot of amazing things. It's all around the world via Zoom, and
mhm.
a lot to talk about in this economy with rising prices and just the games that are being played to trick people out of ownership. The convincing and the strategies being used against us. So I spend more time teaching people about how to read the news and know when it's not accurate or not true or it's being deceived. Or which
Those so those are different. Those are deeper skills within a skill. It's like
yeah,
comprehension. Those are comprehension skills, understanding the images, the messages, the words, all the things that are being thrown at you on a day to day, and reading in between those lines so that you won't be falling for some the okey doke, what they call it, the okey doke.
house right across the street from Tyler Perry's studio for 100,000. I'm like, that house in 2 years will be worth 2 million. Go to LA, and around every studio you'll find a 2 bedroom for like $2 million and up.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
you
I'm living in that dream right now. It's also a nightmare. Okay. All right, Dr. Little, what kind of opportunities do you have and how can one get started with you in healthcare?
So, how one can get started in healthcare is just they can start off as a home health aide or a CNA. I recently came across a course on Udemy. I believe it was like $16 to receive a home health aide certification. And so, when you start in healthcare, always think about where things will be 5 to 10 years from now. So, you really have to anticipate the trends. And that's how I came about with the opportunity that I have. It's think like an NP boot camp for teens, and mainly because according to US News and World Report, nurse practitioners is the number one healthcare professional in the nation, and is the number two top STEM job or healthcare job that's stems from STEM. And so when you see those types of numbers, it already lets you know that there will be jobs that are available. And with this opportunity, that's for this, it's a 4-day experience during the month of June and July, and I offer weekly sessions. I have limited spacing because I want to make sure the opportunity is very intimate. The thing that's really unique about me, unlike any other nurse practitioner or healthcare provider, I was able to master in this profession very quickly. Before, I always like to say before 40, I did a whole bunch, and I'm able to pour that into the next generation and set them up for entrepreneurial opportunities as well. Because it's not just, it's one thing to care for your patients, but it's another thing to teach another group of providers how to provide that same level of care, because that's really what it's about at the end of the day when you become a nurse practitioner.
And you're a very good coach too. Each one of you guys are good coaches, but there's something about in the healthcare space, it can be really overwhelming because you decide to go after that clinician role. And then if you're not happy and satisfied, you feel like you failed because it was a lot of time, a lot of money invested. But because you are skilled in understanding what it takes, I've noticed that when you talk to students, you really tell them about the experience and how they can pivot if they fall to like, hey, I'm not interested in becoming a surgeon, or I'm not interested in, it's too costly, it's too much time. I really want to just get my hands, working right now. How are you? How do you help young people to really figure out their pathway?
Usually, I have any student that works with me, I have them complete an assessment, a personal inventory assessment. I really like for them to really learn about their strengths and weaknesses and more about the individual, the type of environment they grew up in. So I get a little deep and I use that information to really, I feel like I'm calling out what they're actually meant to do by learning a little bit more about them. Oftentimes, when students they take the traditional route and they go into formal education, they apply to the school, they interview you just to see if you're going to be a good student, not understanding like, is this really a good fit for you? And is this something that you could see yourself doing in the future? And I'm thinking about how can I save you time? How can I get you to realize what else you could do? What other tracks are out there? I know a lot about healthcare because I worked in various settings. I worked in the correctional facility. I love, that was really my favorite place, correctional facility. I've worked in a detox facility. I worked on college health campus. I've written textbooks for nurses. So when you exposed to so much opportunity, you're able to help students make an informed decision about their future. Oftentimes they're like, well, this is what I want to be. They're fixated that they want to be a nurse practitioner because of what they see us do, not realizing that it's a lot to do with how we think. It involves a lot of critical thinking skills. One of the things that many of the students learn about me once we start working closely together is one of the reasons why I'm not in practice anymore is because that thinking component. I had a near fatal car accident back in 2017, and it really delayed my speed and how I could practice. And I was very concerned about making particular areas that would contribute to malpractice issues in the future. So I decided to shift because of the delay in that particular function so I could teach students and equip them because I'm able to do this at my own pace. So it's important for individuals or those who are interested in healthcare to understand that it mainly has to do a lot with what we think and not as much as what we do. And if you're not ready or you feel like you're going to have some issues with being able to perform and do things that have to do with saving people's life, it may not be the fit for you as far as that level. However, you can be in a level where you can help with the machines, with programming the machines. You can do something that you can still contribute and help impact lives at working at something that's fitted for your personality and then your natural skills and talents.
I think that goes to everybody who's in this panel today. You have to figure out what you're passionate about, what you're good at, how to hone those skills. Any final words to each to our guests, our virtual guests, and also to those who are seeking to figure out that pathway in skilled trades?
Yes, my final words will be always take notes. So you should always be in a state of observation, curiosity, because most of what the people who have the greatest, who's achieved like great things, what they did was actually take notes. They took
Good.
mental notes, they took physical notes. So always take notes and then go from there.
TJ, any final words?
Don't be scared of the process. So I had a student in Alabama, small town Alabama, building houses at like 100,000, and he got invited to go to LA and build a $3 million house. He was terrible, and he called me and we spent a lot of time coaching. And I'm like, look, it's legal, it's okay. You're not gonna mess it up. It's the same thing. It's just more wood. And just don't be scared of the profit. It's just find out where your value is needed. Whatever you do, find out where your value is needed. I told him, I said, if you go to Dubai, they'll pay you even more money than that. You'll be building $200 million houses out there. Find out where your value is needed, where you most sought after at.
I love that. And Coach D, what was your final words to our young, aspiring future?
Well, and I want to say thank you for having me, Denise. But I would say, as a final word for our young people, is to not be afraid to take risks and don't put technology in a box. What I mean by that is there's not one industry you can name that does not include technology. And so at least get the basics of technology done, take some courses, understand the fundamentals so that now you become more a value and an asset no matter what industry. If technology, cybersecurity, health and support is not your thing, then still at least learn the fundamentals of technology. Take risk and don't put the tech in a box because you can't escape it. It's in everything.
It's in everything. I would 100% agree. And every last one of my special guests have seen my seminar. TJ and Dr. Little have been just recently to my Atlanta opportunity seminar with our Black College Expo in Atlanta. And did I not show a video on AI and technology and how important it is to integrate it into your day-to-day? We are behind if you do not get with the signs of the times. So in order to make money, develop a skill. When you graduate, you do not want to graduate looking for work. You want to graduate having already been placed because you are hireable because of your skills. I always tell our young people, work a little bit backwards. Look at the highest level you want to obtain, the highest level in any career. Look at that job. Look on that career, look on that company's website or whatever company that you want to work for and see, if it's an analyst level 3 or, a manager or a director over a program, and look at the qualifications, look at the requirements of that job and go and master those skills. Master those skills in school, go master those skills outside in the real workforce. Learn to develop those skills based on what is already the criteria right now. So when you graduate, you're already there. You already mastered it. Now it's just trying to pick which company is going to tell you yes or no. So again, this is a wonderful conversation we're having about making money in skilled trades. Again, my name is Mrs. Denise Parker, and I am the Director of Internships and Careers for the National College Resources Foundation. We are here to serve from in your college education endeavors to your career, placement and beyond. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us. Till we see us next week. Bye.